The forest stood silent under the soft light of early morning. Tall trees stretched high into the sky, their leaves forming a thick cover that blocked much of the sunlight. A narrow road cut through the woods, old and rarely used. The air felt cold and heavy, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. A small car slowed down and stopped near the edge of the road. Inside the car sat a man named Ravi. His face was tense, his eyes fixed ahead. His hands rested on the steering wheel, but they trembled slightly. Beside him sat his wife, Mira. She wore a simple dress and a light shawl. Her legs were weak, and she could not walk without support. A wooden walking stick rested against her seat. Mira looked out the window, confused. She had not been here before. The trees looked endless. "Why did we stop here?" she asked softly. Ravi did not reply. He swallowed hard and opened his door. The sound felt loud in the quiet forest. He stepped out, walked around the car, and opened Myra's door. "Come outside for a moment," he said, his voice low. Mira hesitated. "Here." "Yes," Ravi replied quickly. "You need fresh air." She trusted him. She always had. Ravi helped Mira out of the car. She leaned on him heavily, her legs shaking as they touched the uneven ground. The soil was damp, and she struggled to keep her balance. Ravi handed her the walking stick and picked up her small bag from the back seat. "Hold this," he said, placing it in her hands. Mira looked around. The forest felt strange and empty. A quiet fear crept into her chest. "I feel tired," she said. "Can we go back?" Ravi avoided her eyes. "Just wait here. I will turn the car around." Before she could say anything else, he walked back to the driver's seat. The door closed. The engine started. Mira stood there, holding her stick, watching the car. The car moved forward. At first, she thought he was turning it around. But the car did not slow. It drove faster, deeper down the road, until it disappeared between the trees. Myra's heart stopped. She waited. Seconds passed. Then minutes. The sound of the engine never returned. "Ravi," she called, her voice weak. No answer came. Her hands began to shake. Her breathing grew fast and shallow as the truth slowly reached her mind. He had left her. Alone. In the forest. Fear wrapped around her like a tight grip. She tried to walk toward the road, but after a few painful steps, her legs gave up. She leaned against a tree, tears rolling down her face. She remembered the day she met Ravi. He had been kind then. He had promised to care for her forever. After her accident, everything had changed. His patience faded. His love turned cold. Still, she never imagined he would do this. Mira slowly lowered herself to the ground. Her body felt weak, but her mind raced. She had to stay calm. Panic would only make things worse. She listened carefully. The forest made quiet sounds. Leaves moved. Birds called. Somewhere far away, something cracked underfoot. Mira held her bag close, fear filling her eyes. What she did not know was that she was not truly alone. A man stood hidden behind thick trees not far away. His name was Armin. He had been walking along an old path when he noticed the car stop. Something about the scene felt wrong, so he stayed hidden and watched. He saw the man help the woman out. He saw the tension in his movements. He saw the woman's weak legs and confused face. Then he watched the car drive away without her. Armin felt anger rise in his chest. He stayed still, making sure the car did not return. When it was gone, he focused on the woman. She looked small and fragile against the tall trees. Yet there was something strong in the way she tried to stand again, even through pain. Mira forced herself up once more. She tried to follow the road, dragging her walking stick along the ground. Each step sent pain through her body. Sweat formed on her forehead, and her vision blurred. "I cannot stop," she whispered to herself. After a few steps, she fell to her knees. Tears dropped onto the dirt. Her body had reached its limit. Armin clenched his fists. He knew the forest well. Night would be dangerous. Cold and wild animals made this place unforgiving. Still, he did not rush toward her. He had learned that fear could be worse than pain. He waited, watching, thinking. Mira looked up at the sky through the branches. She wondered if anyone would find her. She wondered if Ravi felt any regret. Her heart ached more than her legs. "I trusted you," she whispered. The forest remained quiet. Armin finally took a careful step forward. A branch snapped under his foot. Mira turned her head sharply, fear flashing across her face. She grabbed her walking stick tightly. "Who is there?" she called. Armin stepped into view slowly, keeping his distance. "Please do not be afraid," he said calmly. "I am not here to harm you." Mira stared at him, her heart pounding. She had not seen him before. Her fear mixed with confusion. "I saw what happened," Armin continued. "I watched the car leave." Her strength broke. Tears flowed freely as she lowered her head. "You saw?" she asked quietly. He nodded. For the first time since being abandoned, Mira felt something other than fear. She felt seen. The forest, which had watched a cruel act in silence, now waited for what would come next. Mira stayed still as the stranger stood a short distance away. Her heart beat fast, and her mind warned her to be careful. Being left alone had already broken her trust. She did not know if this man was safe or not. Armin noticed her fear. He did not move closer. He lowered himself to sit on a nearby rock so he would not look threatening. "I will stay here," he said calmly. "You do not have to worry. I just want to help." Mira watched him closely. His clothes were simple, and his face looked tired but kind. There was no anger in his eyes, only concern. "My name is Mira," she said after a moment. "Armin," he replied. "Are you able to walk at all?" She nodded slowly. "Only a little. My legs were injured years ago. Walking for long is very hard." Armin looked around the forest. He knew this place well. When the sun went down, the cold would be harsh. Staying here was not an option. "You should not stay here alone," he said gently. "There is a small cabin not far from here. It is safe and warm. You can rest there." Mira hesitated. Every part of her wanted to believe him, but fear held her back. Still, her body was exhausted. She knew she could not make it far on her own. "I do not have another choice," she said softly. Armin stood up slowly and offered his arm. This time, she accepted. She leaned on him carefully, and they began to move through the trees. Each step was painful for Mira, but Armin adjusted his pace to match hers. He made sure she did not rush or lose balance. When she needed to stop, they stopped. As they walked, Mira spoke in a quiet voice. She told him about her marriage. About how Ravi had changed after her injury. How he became distant and angry. How she felt like a burden in her own home. "I tried my best," she said. "I never complained. I only wanted respect." Armin listened without interrupting. His jaw tightened with every word. "No one deserves what he did," Armin said firmly. "Not ever." After some time, the trees opened into a small clearing. A simple wooden cabin stood there, surrounded by tall grass. Smoke rose gently from a thin chimney. "This is my place," Armin said. "It is not much, but it will protect you." Inside, the cabin was clean and warm. A small fire burned softly. Armin helped Mira sit on a chair near the fire and brought her water. She drank slowly, her hands still shaking. For the first time since morning, she felt a little safe. "Thank you," she said quietly. Armin nodded. "You can rest here. I will make some food." As Mira rested, her thoughts drifted back to Ravi. She wondered where he was now. Whether he felt free. Whether he thought about her at all. That same moment, Ravi drove fast on the open road. His hands were steady now. His face showed relief mixed with guilt. He told himself he had done what he had to do. He told himself she would be found by someone else. But deep inside, a small voice whispered that he had crossed a line he could never return from. Back at the cabin, Armin placed a warm bowl of food in front of Mira. She ate slowly, grateful for the care. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they were not only from pain. "No one has been this kind to me in a long time," she said. "You deserve kindness," Armin replied. Night slowly fell outside. The forest darkened, but inside the cabin, the fire kept them warm. Mira lay down on a small bed. Her body ached, but her heart felt lighter. Before she slept, she asked softly, "Why did you help me?" Armin paused before answering. "Because I could not walk away." Mira closed her eyes. Far away, Ravi did not know that the woman he tried to erase had found safety. He did not know that someone had seen everything. And the forest remembered. Morning light entered the cabin gently, slipping through the small window and resting on the wooden floor. The forest outside was quiet, calm in a way that felt different from the fear of the previous day. Birds sang softly, welcoming a new beginning. Mira opened her eyes slowly. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memories returned. The forest. The car driving away. The stranger who helped her. She sat up carefully, testing her legs. The pain was still there, but it felt less sharp than before. The warmth of the cabin and proper rest had helped. She took a deep breath and looked around. Everything was simple but clean. A blanket covered her. A cup of water sat nearby. She was safe. Armin stood near the door, cutting vegetables on a small table. He noticed she was awake and gave a gentle smile. "You slept well," he said. "Yes," Mira replied. "Better than I expected." Armin handed her a cup of warm tea. She held it with both hands, feeling comfort spread through her fingers. "Today we need to plan," Armin said calmly. "We cannot leave things as they are." Mira nodded. She already knew what he meant. Going back to her old life felt impossible. Returning to Ravi was not an option. But the future felt uncertain. "I have no family nearby," Mira said. "No place to go." Armin thought for a moment. "There is a town not far from here. People there know me. We can go together. You can get medical help and protection." The word protection stayed in her mind. "What about Ravi?" she asked quietly. Armin looked at her seriously. What he did was wrong. Very wrong. He should not escape from it. Mira looked down at her hands. She was not angry. She felt tired. Tired of being treated like something that could be thrown away. "I do not want revenge," she said. "I only want peace." "And you deserve it," Armin replied. They prepared to leave after breakfast. Armin packed food and water. He helped Mira walk slowly outside. The forest looked different now. Less threatening. As if it had completed its role and was letting her go. Their walk was slow, but steady. Armin stayed close, offering support when needed. Along the way, Mira noticed small things she had ignored before. Sunlight on leaves. The sound of running water. Life moving forward without waiting for pain. Meanwhile, Ravi sat in a small rented room in another town. He stared at his phone, restless. No messages. No calls. The silence pressed against his mind. He tried to convince himself that Mira would be fine. Someone would help her. Maybe she had already reached a road. Maybe she was safe. But the truth haunted him. He remembered her face when he left. The confusion. The trust. His chest tightened. At that moment, his phone rang. He jumped and answered quickly. It was a man from his workplace. "Ravi," the voice said. "The police came looking for you." Ravi felt the blood leave his face. "Why?" "They asked about your wife," the man replied. "Someone reported something strange." Ravi hung up without another word. Fear replaced relief. Back on the forest path, Armin and Mira reached the edge of the town. Small houses lined the road. People walked by, busy with their lives. Mira felt nervous but hopeful. Armin guided her to a local clinic. The doctor examined her carefully and arranged proper care. For the first time in a long while, Mira felt listened to. Later, Armin spoke to local authorities. He told them everything he had seen. The car, the forest, the woman left behind. He spoke calmly, clearly, without exaggeration. Mira waited nearby, her hands folded. She felt exposed but strong. That evening, she sat on a bench outside the clinic. The sky turned orange and gold as the sun lowered. Armin sat beside her, giving her space. "Thank you," she said after a long silence. "Not just for helping me. For seeing me." Armin nodded. Sometimes all a person needs is that. News traveled faster than Ravi expected. Authorities reached his location by nightfall. When they questioned him, his stories fell apart. The forest. The timing. Witness words. Everything pointed back to him. He tried to explain. He tried to justify. No one listened. For Mira, the night was calm. She rested in a clean room, knowing she would not be forced to walk alone again. She did not know what the future held, but she knew one thing. She had survived. And someone had watched. Someone had cared. Someone had stepped in when the world turned away. The forest no longer held her story. It had released it into the light. The next morning arrived quietly. Soft light filled the clinic room where Mira rested. She woke slowly, feeling the steady calm of safety around her. For the first time in many months, she did not feel fear when opening her eyes. Her body still ached, but her heart felt lighter. A nurse entered the room with a gentle smile. She checked Myra's legs and explained a simple care plan. The words were clear and respectful. Mira listened carefully. Being treated with dignity felt new and powerful. Later that day, Armin arrived. He stood near the door at first, not wanting to interrupt. Mira noticed him and smiled. "You came back," she said. "I said I would," Armin replied. They spoke quietly. Armin explained that the authorities had taken her statement seriously. What he witnessed mattered. What she endured mattered. The truth had weight. Mira nodded. She felt nervous but steady. Speaking about the forest still made her chest tighten, yet she knew silence would only help the wrong person. She agreed to give a full account. In another town, Ravi sat in a small office under bright lights. He faced questions he could not escape. Each answer led to another question. Each excuse fell apart. He realized that leaving Mira in the forest had not erased his responsibility. It had multiplied it. Back at the clinic, Mira met a social worker who spoke gently and clearly. Options were discussed. Safe housing. Medical support. A path forward that did not depend on anyone who treated her as disposable. For the first time, Mira felt choice return to her life. That afternoon, Armin wheeled her outside to a quiet garden behind the clinic. Flowers grew along the path. A breeze moved the leaves softly. Mira closed her eyes and let the air touch her face. "I forgot what calm feels like," she said. "Calm is something you rebuild," Armin replied. "One step at a time." They sat in silence for a while. Mira watched people pass by, each carrying their own stories. She realized that pain did not make her small. Surviving it made her strong. Over the next few days, Myra's strength improved. With help, she practiced short walks. Each step felt like a promise kept to herself. Nurses encouraged her. Progress was slow but steady. Armin visited often, never forcing conversation, always present. He brought books, fruit, and news from town. People spoke kindly of Mira. They respected her courage. That respect healed something deep inside her. One evening, Mira asked a question that had been waiting inside her. "Why were you in the forest that day?" she asked. Armin thought for a moment. "I used to work far from people. I walked those paths to clear my head. I never expected to witness something like that." Mira nodded. "I am glad you did." The days moved forward. A small support group welcomed Mira. She met others who had faced loss and betrayal. Their stories were different, but their strength felt familiar. She was no longer alone. Meanwhile, Ravi waited for outcomes he could not control. He learned that actions left marks that time could not erase. The silence around him grew heavy. One afternoon, Mira received news. Arrangements were made for her to move into a safe residence with proper care. It was modest but warm. It was hers. Armin helped with the move. He carried boxes while Mira directed from her chair. The space filled with light. A window looked out onto a street with steady life. "This is a beginning," Mira said, her voice steady. "Yes," Armin replied. "And beginnings matter." That night, Mira sat by the window, watching lights pass by. She thought of the forest, not with fear, but with clarity. What happened there no longer defined her end. It defined her turning point. She wrote a short letter to herself, promising patience and kindness. She promised to never again accept being treated as invisible. Outside, the town rested under a quiet sky. Somewhere, consequences continued to unfold. Somewhere else, a woman rebuilt her life with care and courage. Mira closed the window and turned toward her room. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but it would also bring choice. She was ready. The morning sun filled Myra's new home with gentle light. The room was small but peaceful. Clean walls, a sturdy bed, and a window that looked out onto a busy street. People walked past with purpose, living their lives without knowing the long road Mira had traveled to reach this place. She woke early and sat quietly for a moment. Her body still carried pain, but it no longer felt like a chain. It felt like a reminder of survival. Mira followed her daily routine with care. She stretched slowly, practiced walking with support, and prepared a simple meal. Each action felt like a step toward control. For years, she had felt like life was happening to her. Now, she was part of it again. Later that morning, Armin visited. He knocked softly before entering, always respectful. "You look stronger today," he said. Mira smiled. "I feel stronger." They talked about small things. The weather. The town. A local group that helped people find work they could do safely. Mira listened closely. The idea of contributing again filled her with quiet excitement. "I want to do something meaningful," she said. "Even if it is small." "Small things change lives," Armin replied. "Sometimes more than big ones." Over the next few weeks, Myra's confidence grew. She joined a community center nearby. She helped organize books and spoke with others who came for support. People listened to her. They respected her words. Her story gave others courage, though she never shared it to gain attention. She shared it to heal. One afternoon, Mira received news that the process involving Ravi had reached a conclusion. She listened calmly as details were explained. There was no joy in hearing it. Only closure. After the call ended, she sat quietly for a long time. Armin watched her from across the room. "How do you feel?" he asked gently. "Free," Mira answered. "Not because of what happened to him, but because I no longer carry what he did." That evening, Mira went for a short walk outside. The street lights glowed softly. She moved slowly, but with purpose. Each step felt like a promise fulfilled. She remembered the forest, the fear, the silence, the moment she thought her life had ended there. It had not ended. It had turned. Days became months. Myra's strength improved. She found work that suited her abilities. She laughed again, something she once believed she had lost forever. People around her saw her not as a burden, but as a person with value. Armin remained a steady presence. Never controlling. never expecting anything. Just there. One afternoon, they sat together in a park. Children played nearby. Leaves moved gently in the breeze. I used to think kindness was weakness, Mira said. Now I know it is strength. Armin nodded. It takes courage to stay kind after pain. Mira looked around the park. She saw life continuing, not perfect, but real. She realized she no longer feared the future. As the sun lowered, Mira stood up slowly. She did not rush. She did not need to. She had survived abandonment. She had faced fear. She had chosen life again. And the forest, once a place of loss, had become the place where her story changed direction. Not because someone left her there, but because someone saw her. And because she chose to stand again.